Good evening and welcome. My name is David Soder. I'm a Senior Financial Aid Advisor at SUNY Plattsburgh, and on behalf of SUNY Plattsburgh Admissions Office, we welcome you. Tonight's discussion is Understanding the Financial Aid Process. It's the second part of a three-part series, Paying for College. The first part addressed applying for financial aid, and tonight we're going to talk about what to expect next. And what to expect next is the award letter notification, as well as your to-do list and other tasks. And we will be addressing any outstanding requirements in order to complete your financial aid process. We'll also talk about sources of financial aid and other options on paying for college. So let's start with looking at an overview on how it leads up to that award letter process. And it starts with applying for financial aid. So if you have not done so already, it's not too late to submit your 1718 FAFSA, but it does start with the student and one custodial parent applying for your FSA user ID. Once you have applied for your FSA user ID, then you will go ahead and complete the 1718 FAFSA application. And we provided the website there, www.fafsa.gov. Okay, I'm getting an indication that I'm not being heard. They can't hear me? So let me see if I can get somebody to maybe adjust the volume. 1 moment. Sorry about that. Okay. If anybody else having trouble hearing me, I will definitely try to speak louder. Okay, so let me go ahead and proceed. When you go ahead and submit the 1718 FAFSA, at the completion of submitting the FAFSA, you should see a link. The link that would say, click here for state aid. If you're a New York State resident, you will click on that link and that will bring you to the online TAP application process. Now again, this is just, if you've already submitted your FAFSA application, this is just kind of a review process, but if not, this is beneficial. Secondly, become admitted to SUNY Plattsburgh. Then you will be receiving your financial aid award letter. It will be sent electronically, and it will be sent to the student's email as provided on the FAFSA application. Likewise, you want to respond to any additional email notices or requirements, and you will do so through your My Plattsburgh portal. And finally, you want to consider your options for paying for college, which we will be discussing shortly. Let me just take a pause here for a second by saying, by any means, if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask them at any time during the discussion, and I will be glad to try and answer those questions for you. So let's move on. Okay, it all starts with the FAFSA application. So I am recapping what was discussed in the first part of the series, which actually focused on how to apply for financial aid. So if you've already done this, this is great. But if not, in order to submit the FAFSA application, you, the student, will need to apply for your FSA user ID and at least one custodial parent. I do want to advise you that part of applying for the FSA user ID is going to require an email address, so that, for example, when the student is applying for their FSA user ID, maybe the parent may be tempted to say, well, let's just use my email address. I think it'd be great, as I check my emails often, and if the FAFSA needs to follow up on something, I will get that. If you do that, that's fine, but the Department of Education now assigns that email to the student, and it belongs uniquely to the student, so that when you, the parent, go to apply for your FSA user ID, you will have to use a new email address. So it's good to just have the student use their email address and then the parent use theirs, especially when applying for the FSA user ID. Once you successfully applied for your FSA user ID, you're going to submit the 1718 FAFSA. I do want to, and again, this was discussed in more detail, the 5 different areas of the FAFSA, and more specifically on how to submit the FAFSA. If you've already submitted the FAFSA, this is just kind of recapping. But if you haven't, this information that I'm about to tell you is important, and actually it's important if you've already submitted your FAFSA. Remember, this is all the steps needing to lead up to us presenting you and providing you your financial aid award letter notification. And there's certain questions on the FAFSA that communicate, that feed into the award letter, information we need to give you an accurate award letter. One of the questions earlier on in the FAFSA is going to ask, and it's going to ask the student, when you're applying, when you submitted the FAFSA application, it's always from the student's perspective. So when it says you, it's you the applicant, you the student. Your parents, it's the student's parents. So it's going to ask you the student, will you have your first four-year bachelor degree by 1 July 2017? If you are a senior in high school and you're going to be an incoming freshman, you will say no to that question. Every year, every semester, we have students inadvertently saying yes, that they have their first BA. Is it important? It is. There are certain financial aid eligibility requirements that look at whether or not you have your first bachelor's degree or not. The federal Pell Grant, the need-based federal Pell Grant portion of financial aid is available for students working toward their first BA. So if you inadvertently say yes, that you would have your first BA and you're Pell Grant eligible, that will not be reflected on your award letter package because it shows that you have your first BA. If you think you said yes to that question, it's real easy. You simply log back in your FAFSA and you correct that to no. Then it's going to ask you, the student, what your grade level will be. And it's going to be your grade level in college. So that, again, if you are a senior in high school and you're going to be a new freshman, the options for your grade level in college are first-year undergraduate freshman, second-year undergraduate sophomore, third-year undergraduate junior, fourth-year undergraduate senior, fifth-year undergraduate other, and then first-year graduate student, second-year graduate student. So it's important because your grade level will communicate how much federal student loans will be offered to you. There's different federal student loan amounts based on your grade level. And the reason why I bring this up is inadvertently, I'm the student, I'm a senior in high school, I see that question, what is my grade level? I'm a senior, okay? Innocent mistake, but it affects how much loans we're going to offer you. So if you think you may have said anything other than what you believe your grade level will be in college, you can simply update that by logging back into your FAFSA and making that correction. Another item that ties into your award letter is the degree you will be working on. So here at SUNY Plattsburgh, we are a four-year college for undergraduate students. So we offer the four-year BA, four-year BS bachelor degree for undergraduate students. We also have graduate level enrollment, and that's for the master's degree. So most students, if you are seniors in high school and you're looking to be a new freshman, then you will indicate that the degree I am working on is my first BA. The other options are going to be second BA or master's degree or graduate program. So new incoming freshmen, you want to make sure you say yes to I will be working on my first BA. And then finally, toward the end of the FAFSA application process, right about where the parent's going to add their FSA user ID as their signature, it's going to be asking for your housing arrangements, your living arrangements. There's three choices. One is on campus, that is living in the dorms. The other is living at home with parents. And then the third is off campus. Now, off campus is not the same as living at home with parents. That's for a student who has their own apartment and not living on campus. This is important because part of the award letter is going to provide you an expected or estimated billed semester charges, so that if you indicate that you're on campus on the FAFSA, that allows us to build that into what you're going to expect as far as an on-campus bill. So that's important. Okay. And I just want to pause here to say that If you haven't submitted your FAFSA, it sounds like a broken record. It is not too late, but we do suggest that you do submit the 17-18 FAFSA by December 15th. Why? There's additional federal financial aid funding at the campus level. It's federal work study is a perfect example where we only have a limited amount of awards available, so priority goes to those with early submitted FAFSA and also have the need eligibility. So kind of like a first come, first serve. So if you want to definitely try to maximize your aid opportunities, you definitely want to submit the FAFSA early. Again, the 17-18 FAFSA has been available since October 1st of this year, and definitely want to submit that as soon as possible. Okay, so let's take a look at the sources of financial aid that are available. And I'm going to go ahead and address some of these funds in a general manner. I won't go too much into details. I don't really have the screenshots to kind of address in detail, for example, the federal student loans, but I will give you as much information as possible. The third segment of this presentation will go more in depth about the types of financial aid, as well as the financial aid cost of attendance that we'll also kind of touch on later on in this presentation. But if you notice, the top of the screenshot are sources of federal financial aid. Federal financial aid is derived from that FAFSA application. So it all starts from the FAFSA application. So what we're looking at are, again, at the top of the screen, are your usual suspects for federal financial aid. We have the need-based federal Pell Grant, and that's anywhere from $0 to $5,815 maximum amount for the year. Below that is the Supplemental Education Opportunity Grant, or the SELG grant. Here at SUNY Plattsburgh, students who receive the maximum federal Pell Grant will also be awarded a small SELG grant on top of that. Okay, then in the center you'll see federal work study. We talked about that earlier, where it's federal funding at the campus level. So there are limited awards available for federal work study. So early submitted FAFSAs and need eligible students will certainly be given priority. This is a strange animal. It's considered a need-based financial aid fund, but allows you to work on campus and get paid through federal financial aid. We'll kind of touch on that a little bit more, especially about the hourly rates and how many hours you can work a little later on. Now, to the right, you'll see federal student loans. Now, these are the best loans that you, the student, can borrow, and they're all through the FAFSA application. For new incoming freshmen, remember we asked what your grade level is. For new incoming freshmen, the maximum federal student loans available, combined subsidized and unsubsidized, is $5,500 for the year. The maximum that is subsidized would be $3,500, and then $2,000 unsubsidized loans. I will kind of address this a little bit more because it is important. A lot of people have misconceptions about loans, and when I say they are the best federal student loans, is the federal student loans, that's true. Currently, the federal student loans are at a fixed interest rate of 3.76%. I haven't seen it that low in quite a while. So when I say fixed, not variable, it will remain that rate. So both loans, the subsidized and the unsubsidized loans, while you're a student, and the key word is attending at least half-time, 6 credits, entering to official repayment of the loans is deferred. That is, as long as you're enrolled half-time, all the way until you graduate, you're not officially entering into repayment of your loans until after you stop attending half-time or you graduate. You will also be offered a 6-month extension, or a grace period, if you will. Okay, now you've heard me talk about subsidized and unsubsidized loans. So let's talk about the difference between that. The subsidized loan is considered need-based, so that in addition to having entering repayment of the loan deferred, the interest on that loan is also deferred while you're attending at least half-time or more. It is not deferred. The interest is not deferred on the unsubsidized portion of the loan. So even though you're not required to enter into official repayment of your loans, the interest is not deferred in the unsubsidized loan, and you will be contacted by the loan provider about twice a year, giving you a statement of the accrued interest on that unsubsidized loan. It will give you the opportunity to make the payment of that interest. If you're able to do that, that's great. You keep that principal balance down, but you do not have to. If you don't, it will accrue, so when you do graduate and you do enter repayment, that unsubsidized loan will be the principal amount plus any accrued interest. Okay. Now, below that is the Parent Plus loan, and as the name states, it's a loan that the parent applies for in their name. It's another option for paying for financial aid. It will help add to the student's loans and to any grants that they may qualify for. Slightly different than the federal student loans that the student will be offered, in that by default, entering the repayment of the parent loan happens 60 days after the second disbursement or the spring semester disbursement. However, you, the parent, will have the opportunity, when you're applying for the parent loan, to request an in-school deferment for payment of the loans, just like the student would have available. So that option would be available for the parent as well. Okay, so the Teach Grant loan, to be more accurate, is available for students who qualify, they meet the academic criteria, and who will be in a degree or a major that will lead to a teaching degree. So it's an incentive for those looking to be teachers and to help out with their bill. It's called a Teach Grant loan in that if you are offered this fund and you do accept it, you do have to commit to a contract, and that is agreeing to teach in a high-need field, specifically sciences, math and sciences, special need, English maybe as a second language, things of that nature, high-need fields. You do have to agree to teach in a high-need field and also in a high-need school district, and it's anywhere in the nation. So the caveat is if you do not fulfill that obligation, that Teach Grant becomes an unsubsidized loan with interest retroactively factored in. So something to think about. If you are offered the Teach Grant, and you can always decline it if you're not comfortable with it, or you can accept it, but you will have to agree to do the contract. That will be discussed a little bit more in detail, certainly perhaps in the third and final installment of this series. So there you have your basic financial aid funding from the FAFSA, and below that is sources of state financial aid. If you are a New York State resident, obviously going to a New York State college, you will definitely want to apply for the New York State TAP grant. Do you remember earlier when I was saying when you submit your FAFSA application, or maybe I didn't say this earlier, but when you submitted your FAFSA application, there would have been a link that says for state aid, click here. That would have taken you to the New York State TAP application online. If not, you'll just simply wait a couple of days, and the New York State Higher Education will email the student, letting them know that the TAP application is available to go ahead and submit. Or you can just go ahead and visit the TAP website, hesc.newyork.gov, and it'll tell you that it's available for you to submit. Now, the TAP grant is a need-based grant, and it's anywhere from $0 if you don't qualify up to the maximum $5,165. So in addition to the TAP grant, New York State does offer some specialized scholarships. So you want to explore those scholarship options as well by visiting hesc.newyork.gov to see if you may be eligible for those state scholarships. Most likely they're going to require you to submit the TAP application anyways before applying for any additional state scholarships. So there we have it. On top we have federal financial aid, and in the middle we have your state financial aid. Now down below you'll see third-party sources or external sources of financial aid. Military aid, the GI Bill. So if you are a veteran or perhaps a dependent of a veteran, you'll want to meet with your VA office or visit va.gov to see if you qualify for the GI Bill. Those who are in the National Guard or even Army Reserves, you want to check with your unit or visit National Guard to see if there's any tuition incentive programs. Likewise, individuals with disabilities will want to contact Access VR for any funding through their office. So there we have it, federal financial aid, state financial aid, and third-party sources of financial aid. But it doesn't end there. There's still more financial aid resources available, and this is where you, the student, are going to do some legwork, okay? In that you want to apply as a senior in high school. If you're definitely a senior in high school, or even a junior high school, if you're turning, getting an early start on this, you want to start looking into and applying for as many private scholarships that are out there. It's important to do so. We listed some of the trusted national college scholarship search engines on there. Scholarships.com is pretty good. Fastweb.com is also good. So you want to go onto those websites, create a profile, submit it, and let it do the work and see if it could, throw some scholarships at you that it may think you're available to apply for. So they're out there, and the more scholarships you apply for, it helps add to your federal financial aid, your state financial aid. So that way, it'll get you closer to covering your bill. There's a gentleman in the financial aid office who's this private scholarship coordinator, and he does a happy dance whenever he gets notified either by the student or a scholarship agency that this scholarship is available for the student. He gets to add that scholarship to the student's aid package, and he sees how far that goes into covering the bill. So it's good to do that. But in addition, for national search engines for private scholarships, there's scholarships right in your backyard. Local civic organizations, local businesses. You want to check with them. For example, the National Honor Society, Kiwanis Club, Lions Club, American Legion. So definitely check around there. And this is why it's important to go to the top bullet point there, is to check with your guidance office in high school. If the local businesses or local civic organizations, if they have scholarships available, they'll provide that information to the high school so that the guidance counselor can provide that information to you, the student, when you're getting counseling on applying for colleges. So you don't want to overlook, smaller scholarships right in your backyard. I'll give you an example. I'll open up the a local paper here in Plattsburgh, and on page B7, there'll be a blob. They'll say the Golub family, who own a chain of grocery stores up here in northern New York, Price Chopper, we have 5 scholarships available for students looking to enter into college as new freshmen. You blink, you miss it. So this is why I'm saying you really want to do your legwork. They're out there. Also, check, both students and parents, check with your employer. Sometimes your employer, your HR office may have scholarships available for parents whose students are going to college, or for you, the student, directly. Check also with your union. So it's good to do the homework and the search, and again, take advantage of the guidance counselor's office. He or she certainly may have their finger in the pulse for a lot of these smaller local scholarships that are available. It helps out and it goes a long way. Okay. So likewise, once you're here, you may want to consider campus employment. So as you can see on the screen, here at Plattsburgh, there are 2 sources for campus employment. One is through the FAFSA. Again, that federal work study we were talking about. We have limited awards available. So you've submitted your FAFSA early. And you also have to have the need-based component. You could be offered federal work study, so it allows you to have campus employment and get paid through federal financial aid. Now you can kind of see the rates up there. So for students looking to matriculate fall 2017, you should be looking at a wage rate of $10.75 per hour. You're allowed to work up to 10 hours per week, and we know that translates to the ability of maybe earning about $1,500 a semester. So it's not a bad thing. Now, let's say you were not offered federal work study, or maybe you didn't even submit a FAFSA. Don't worry. The campus still offers campus employment, whether you have a FAFSA or federal work study eligibility, and that's what we call student temporary services. They will start posting job openings for the 17-18 academic year, probably starting in August. So you want to be proactive, visit our website under student employment and start looking at job openings. Either way, once you're here, there will be a job fair. Does it really say job fest? maybe it is Job Fest, but Job Fair, and it's going to be the Wednesday of the first week of classes. It'll be in a room where there'll be different stands or tables with all the different departments where you can submit your job application. I always tell students and parents this, though. I know you're in high school, but to get an advantage, do up a resume, okay? So I know a resume is usually your work history, and if you had some summer employment, you can put that on there. Likewise, any organizations that you may belong to or participate in, you can add that to your resume. You want to gather any references in case some of the departments may ask for that. So some departments may just simply have you submit a PLASPA job application, but some may say, in addition to that, could you also submit a resume? So that will give you an advantage if you have that at the ready, absolutely. Now, you know, if you have a campus employment, they understand that you're a student, so as a new incoming freshman, you really got to test the waters. You know, your priority obviously is your classes and campus life. So, you know, especially if you're going to be living in the dorms, this is your home away from home, so you really got to acclimate and, you know, get used to living on campus, and likewise focus on your studies. So you may want to weigh the options of, can I work and also have a job? So something to think about. Now, each department understands that you're a student, so when they do create your work schedule, they will work around your class schedule. So they will work with you absolutely. And hey, you know, it's good to have money on hand. The ideal for campus employment is to help defray some of the costs of education, believe it or not. This is money that you earn directly. It's a paycheck that you'll receive bi-weekly. So it's money in your pockets, so that it's for things like you want to go to the pizza shop or the bowling alley or the arcade. Apparently it's 1977. But anything, you know, you use it for personal expenses and entertainment. So that's the ideal with having a job on campus, to give you some spending money, absolutely. Okay, so also, not your first year, but after your first year, you may want to consider or, you know, look into being an RA. That is a resident assistant. Oh, it's a good opportunity if you think that's something that you would be interested in that RAs, resident assistants, have their room paid for. Your dorm room is free if you become an RA. On top of that, they will give you $700 a semester discount on your meal plan. So it's a great deal. It gives you responsibility. It also looks good in your resume. Likewise, looks good in your college transcript as well. And if you need future references later on, it provides that as well. So something to think about, because what we're going to be looking at next is the actual sample of what your award letter is going to look like. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so you can see here the example award letter. Again, this is going to be emailed to students electronically to the email provided on the FAFSA. Now, here at Plattsburgh, we're looking to start sending out the 17-18 award letters mid-December, okay? So that earlier the better, and I'll explain why when we get to a little bit behind the scenes of the award letter. But let's take a look at this award letter. Right at the very top part of the award letter where it says my enrollment status. Remember earlier on, I was kind of guiding you on how to answer certain questions on the FAFSA as it communicates to us how to create that financial aid award letter. So you can see that this particular student is an undergraduate, and again, right at the top part of the award letter. Their grade level is freshman. Okay, that tells me how much student loans we can make available for that student. And this student indicated under the housing arrangement section of FAFSA that they will be living on campus. So that's good. That will allow us to give them an expectation of what an on-campus bill will look like. So now under my financial aid, boy, oh boy, this is a sparse award letter. So this is a student who will definitely, hopefully, has applied for a lot of private scholarships. Because right now, what you see is the students confirmed New York State TAP grant, the minimum amount of $500 for the year or $250 each semester. Here at SUNY Classroom, not just at SUNY Classroom, but SUNY in general, to students who are eligible for the New York State TAP grant, SUNY provides an additional SUNY tuition credit for that student. And that's what you're seeing on this particular aid package, is that $72.50 each semester SUNY tuition credit. Now, because the student is a freshman and obviously they submitted their FAFSA application, we're offering them that $5,500 combined federal subsidized and unsubsidized loan, and you can see that in the far right column under the total aid. They did qualify for the maximum need-based subsidized amount of that, the $3,500, to be subsidized. So we like to break it down by semester. Why? Because your bill is by semester. So that this particular student, between their TAP grant, state aid, and their federal financial aid, federal student loans, this student is receiving $3,072.50 per semester, or total for the fall-spring academic year, $6,145. Okay. Now let's drop down to the bottom of the award letter, and this is where we're providing that estimated bill. Bills don't go out, okay? Fall semester bills won't be available until mid-July here at SUNY Classroom. So we want to give you early on an idea of what your bill charges are going to look like. So this student is living on campus, so if we look at the estimated bill, it reflects the tuition, it reflects fees, it reflects their meal plan, it reflects their dorm room, and we put an average of optional fees in there, and it's exactly what it sounds like, fees that you do not necessarily have to accept. So that we're looking at an on-campus semester bill estimated to be about $10,287.50 per semester, or $20,575 for the year. Now, we assume that the student will accept the loan, so you can see less total financial aid by semester as it gets applied toward the bill charges. Then this leaves a student with an estimated balance each semester of $7,215 per semester, or $14,430 for the year. So this is, again, a situation where I hope the student has some private scholarships in the work, that when we get these scholarship notifications, we'll add that to the aid package, so that will be also applied toward the bill to reduce that balance. So now we need to examine what other loan options we need to look at to take care of the balance due. I want to keep it on here for a second. If you notice at the lower right-hand corner, okay, this estimated balance due between the fall and spring semesters is $14,430. So that if you are looking at other loan options like that Parent Plus loan, conservatively you would need to look at applying for an amount to cover the expected balances due for fall spring. But we also create a financial aid cost of attendance budgets to reflect not only your direct bill charges per semester, tuition, fees, dorm room meal plans, but you have to also factor in non-billed expenses. The common ones are books and supplies. Books and supplies are not on your bill. You're responsible to purchase books and supplies directly yourself. It is a cost of education. So we do factor that in as part of the award letter notification. And I don't have any screenshots detailing a breakdown of the financial aid cost of attendance budget by item. The third segment will look into that in a little bit more detail. But the student will have access to that when they log into the My Classroom portal to review their financial aid award letter. They'll see that financial aid cost of attendance budget. For example, I'll just give you a preview. On average, students should be prepared that it would be about $610 per semester on average for books and supplies. Obviously, it varies by major. Okay, so now, well, in addition to books and supplies, other non-billed expenses are transportation. The student goes home for Thanksgiving breaks between semesters. And then also personal expenses. You need a tube of toothpaste, things like that. So let's go ahead to the next part of the financial aid award letter and look at our options. Okay, so my other options. Here at Plattsburgh State, we do have currently we have two payment plans available. So if you're looking to avoid any additional loans, like the Parent Plus loan, you may want to look into doing a payment plan. It will allow you to pay your bill in installments. So for more information on that, you'll visit our website, click on student aid, or student accounts, excuse me, and then click on payment plans. You think that may be something that you'd be interested in. But other than that, you will have the option, and we'll provide that amount to you in a Parent Plus loan option. So you, the parent, could apply up to $18,212. Now, this is for this example award letter. Each student is going to have different awards, different balances due. So that, let's just pause. But wait a second. What does this $18,212 mean? Didn't you just say in the previous award letter that my expected balance would be $14,430, again, in this particular student's example? So $14,430 is what you would need to come up with to pay your direct semester bill. But in this particular student, for most students, full-time, on-campus students, undergraduate, the financially cost of attendance budget reflects that $20,575 direct bill charges, but it also factors in the books and supplies, personal expenses. So that for that student, not that student, but any full-time undergraduate student living on campus, that projected overall financially cost of attendance budget is going to be $24,357, okay? So that's why we say you could apply or borrow up to $18,212 for the year in a parent loan. It reflects that financially cost of attendance budget minus the student's age. So let's say you do take that option, okay? Let's say you apply for an additional $18,200 for the year. We now know your bill is going to be covered because you really only needed to apply for $14,430. So what happens then to that additional loan? It's an overpayment. It becomes an expected refund that the student can then use to budget for the non-billed expenses, things like books and supplies and personal expenses. So that's something to consider. Less loans are always better. So that if you want to be conservative, then certainly just request an amount to cover the balance due. But you certainly have a ceiling to cover the non-billed expenses like books and supplies and transportation. All righty. If, let's say, for example, the parent loan is something that the parent's not really to take on, you know, it's a debt that would be in the parent's name, there are other student loan options. Way back when, remember we're saying how the federal student loan is the best loans that students can apply for, and that is true. Fixed interest rate, in-school deferment, great loan, but it's limited. For freshmen, it's $5,500. So I do need additional loans, but I just wouldn't be able to take out a parent loan, or my parent won't be able to take out a parent loan. There are private student loans available, and so we encourage you to, if you're looking to do a private student loan, to check first with your bank or credit union. You have a relationship with them, or perhaps they can guide you to preferred private student loan lenders that are out there. Now, let me just touch a little bit on private student loans and how most of them work. It is a student loan, so for the most part, the student would be the applicant, but you would have to most likely use a parent as a co-signer. You don't have credit history, so they do need a credit-worthy adult co-signer to help get that approved, and so maybe your parent would be willing to co-sign for the private student loan. Private student loans aren't bad. They're really the next best loans that a student can apply for in their name. It is an education loan, so they know it's being used for schools. The interest rate is not bad. It's not going to be as low as the federal student loan, but it's not like a personal loan, which is nothing more than a credit card interest rate. So they're not bad, and a lot of them offer the same kind of benefits available through the federal student loan program. A lot of them have that in-school deferment we were talking about. So as long as you're attending at least 6 credits half-time, they will also allow you to have official repayment of the loans deferred. And a lot of them also offer that additional 6-month grace period before entering payment of the private student loan. So that's another loan option to help pay for your cost of education as well. Okay, so now, alrighty, text heavy. So this is also part of the award letter. This is the student's to-do list. It's instructions on, for the most part, how to log into your MyPlaster. You'll get more information about the MyPlaster portal later on, certainly through orientations. And we kind of give you the step-by-step, menu items on how to log into your MyPlaster. But it gives you instructions on how to accept those offered student loans. Remember, the award letter does not accept the loans for you. We cannot. So it's up to you to accept or decline the federal student loan, that subsidized and that unsubsidized loan. And this gives you instructions on how to log in to your financial aid account to do just that. Now, if you're a new incoming freshman, you're also a first-time borrower of student loans. So the fun doesn't end with just logging into your financial aid account and accepting the offered loans. As a first-time borrower, you will need to complete a master promissory note online and also review an online counseling session. The good news is they're on the same studentloans.gov website, and you log in, you the student, not the parent, you the student will log in with your FSA user ID, that same user ID to submit the FAFSA application, and once you log into that website, you will be able to complete those two tasks. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm hesitating is, this is a good example, though, and I'm glad we're looking at it, is all that stuff in the middle, where it says, you may not accept the aid offered to you at this time because the federal government has randomly selected your FAFSA application for a process called verification. What does that mean? Okay, so this particular example is that this student has been randomly selected by the federal processor for verification. Used to be 1 out of 3. FAFSAs that get submitted could get randomly selected. So that means before we can finalize your financial aid package, we need to complete this verification process. And this will tell you on the required documentations needed. So it's important to pay attention to the award letter to-do list as far as my requirements. This is all going to be through logging into your MyPlattsburgh financial aid account to do that to-do list and to review any outstanding documents, in this particular case, things like completing verification. So that this is why it's important to provide this financial aid award letter to you early, okay? Earlier on, remember I was saying that the award letter gives you an idea of what your bill is? The actual semester bills for fall 2017 will start being available and emailed to the student mid-July. So you see how you have a solid 7 months to not only accept your loans and to do the promissory note, but to, unfortunately you have been selected for verification, to provide the financial aid office the required documentation that you see on there, and that will notify you of, to complete the verification process and to finalize your financial aid. So you do have time to do this. Likewise, you do have time to explore other aid options or other loan options. So I can't stress this enough. If you have submitted your FAFSA and we have your FAFSA application and you're accepted at Plattsburgh, hopefully we can provide that award letter notification to you so that we can jump on it. And guess what? Like I said, we have a solid 7 months to figure this all out. So having said that, and I apologize, I'm rambling on, so by any means, if you want to submit a question, feel free to do so. We are getting close to the end of this presentation, but what I'm showing you here is I'm really providing a lot of information. So I know what you're saying. My gosh, I'm a senior in high school. I'm graduating, next summer. I'm also going through the process of applying for college, different colleges, applying for scholarships, etc. I got a lot going on. I really got a lot going on. And now you're going to be providing me with all these email notifications, and you're expecting me to be on top of that. I understand that's fine, and I will try to do that. But this is where it may be a good idea for the parent to have the student set up what's called a guest account. So you're seeing right here is a screenshot of when you log into MyPlattsburgh, and you click on the student tab on the upper left-hand corner there, it'll bring you down to the sub-menus at the bottom of that screenshot. Under student accounts, that very last link, create/update guest account, the student will log into their My Classroom account, and then they can add a parent as a guest account. This is great. You, the parent now, will receive the same official notifications from the financial aid office, from the student accounts office, the billing office, as the student, so that if the student is not able to keep up with all these email notifications, you're a great backup, okay? So I encourage you, the student, you, the parents, to look into creating that guest account, and that way you, the parent, will also be receiving the same important email notifications that do need to be addressed in a timely manner. Okay, so because there is a lot of information, and you know what, the third final segment of this session will be given by the Associate Director, Carrie Lubald. We'll go into a little bit more detail about the aid sources, about that financial aid cost of attendance that I kind of glossed over, absolutely. And so we have time. So if you have that award letter notification, that's a good thing. You can breathe in, breathe out. Okay, they have my financial aid application. Okay, here's what we're eligible for. Here's our options. So by all means, this final screenshot here is everyone available here at the financial aid office, including me, David Soder, and including the aforementioned Carrie Lubald, the Associate Director. And there's our toll-free number, email. So at any time, feel free to email our office, call our office. We, we do pride ourselves with easy accessibility. So we generally try to have a lot of phones open. So there's usually not a lot of wait if you're trying to call in. We're good at answering emails. So by all means, use us. Please contact me, contact anybody in the financial aid office you see there by email, phone call. If you are planning a trip to Plattsburgh, stop by the financial aid office. We'll sit down one-on-one, and maybe you have some other circumstances. What I just went over was just broad general information. Well, gee, David, here's a situation. I feel I need to discuss with you about this. Here's what we're going through. God forbid, my hours have been cut back. So what you see in the FAFSA may not be realistically reflecting what my income could be in 2017. You see what I'm saying? So that's a situation where you do want to direct us for more personal contact. There's certainly questions that may, be reviewed per any situation you may be going to, so that we could try to see how to best to review any options to help out with any change of income, things of that nature. Okay. So other than that, that concludes this segment for tonight. Again, if you want to post any questions, I will be glad to answer them.